Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, something keeps holding you back? Maybe you're smart, talented, or even the best at what you do, but somehow success always seems just out of reach. Why does this happen? Now imagine this. A young cheetah, born with unmatched speed, struggles to catch even a single prey. He runs fast, faster than most, but still he fails, again and again, until one day he learns a secret that transforms him from a lost runner into a legendary hunter. This isn't just a story about a wild animal. It's about you, it's about me, and it's about the one skill that separates those who succeed from those who don't, no matter how talented they are. Are you ready to discover it? The footsteps of the young one. The African savanna stretched endlessly, bathed in the golden hues of the setting sun. A gentle breeze whispered through the tall grass, carrying the sounds of the wild, chirping insects, distant bird calls, and the rustling of bushes as unseen creatures moved through the twilight. Perched atop a large rock, a young cheetah named Zuri sat alone, his golden eyes fixed on the horizon. Another day, another failure. He had chased a young antelope, coming so close that he could almost taste victory. But at the last moment, the prey made a sharp turn, and Zuri tumbled into the dirt, breathless and humiliated. This wasn't the first time. It had happened before, many times, and each failure weighed heavier on his mind. His claws dug into the stone beneath him as frustration burned in his chest. Why do I keep failing? Am I not fast enough? Am I weaker than the others? From the shadows, a figure approached, a larger, older cheetah with a coat marked by battle scars and years of experience. It was Kifu, the leader of the coalition, the wisest and strongest cheetah Zuri had ever known. Though age had softened his stride, his amber eyes remained sharp as ever. "Kif, another failed hunt, I see." Zuri turned his head sharply before lowering it in shame. "Yes, I don't understand why. I was born fast, but it's never enough." Kifu sat down beside him, his gaze sweeping over the endless plains before them. "Kifu, you believe speed alone is enough to make a great hunter?" Zuri hesitated before replying. "Isn't it? The strongest cheetahs I've seen are always the fastest." Kifu chuckled, a deep, knowing sound. "Speed is an advantage, but it is not everything. There is something more important, something you have not yet mastered." Zuri tilted his head, intrigued. What could be more important than speed? Kifu turned to meet his gaze, his voice steady and deliberate. "Focus." The word echoed in Zuri's mind. "Focus? What does that mean?" Kifu stood, stretching his lean muscles. "Let me tell you a story, one that I believe will change the way you see everything." Zuri, still filled with doubt, couldn't deny his curiosity. He sat up straighter, eager to listen. Kifu smiled slightly, then began to speak, and with his words, Zuri's journey of transformation had begun. The story of the two hunters. Kifu's gaze remained fixed on the horizon as he began his tale, his voice steady and rich with wisdom. "Kifu, many seasons ago, before you were born, there were two young cheetahs, Tano and Jabu. Both were strong, both were fast, and both dreamed of becoming the greatest hunters of the savannah. But there was one key difference between them." Zuri's ears perked up, intrigued. He adjusted his position, leaning in slightly as Kifu continued. Tano was impatient. The moment he spotted prey, he would charge forward at full speed, confident that his natural ability would be enough. He chased after anything that moved, gazelles, hares, even birds. But his hunts always ended the same way. The prey would make a sharp turn or a sudden leap, and he would stumble, breathless, confused, and empty-pawed. Zuri sighed, his tail flicking. "That sounds familiar." Kifu smirked, but didn't comment. Instead, he continued. Jabu, on the other hand, was different. He watched, he studied, he learned the patterns of the herd, the way the gazelles twitched their ears before sprinting, the way the younger ones lagged just a bit behind, the way the wind carried his scent if he moved carelessly. He never rushed into a chase. Instead, he waited, and when he finally ran, he ran with absolute focus. Zuri frowned. "So Jabu was slower than Tano?" Kifu shook his head. "No. He was just as fast, but speed alone wasn't what made him successful. One day, the elders gave them both a great test. Tonight, they said, you must bring food for the pack. Tano, as always, sprinted off immediately, chasing anything that moved. He ran tirelessly, but every time he got close, the prey would slip away. He exhausted himself, growing weaker with every failed attempt. Jabu, meanwhile, took his time. He crouched in the tall grass, watching the herd, waiting for the right moment. He didn't chase the strongest. He didn't chase the fastest. He picked the weakest, the slowest, the one that was just slightly out of sync with the rest. Kifu's eyes gleamed in the dimming light, and when he ran, Kifu swiped a claw through the air swiftly. It was over in seconds. Zuri sat in silence, absorbing the story. He had always thought hunting was about running faster, pushing harder, chasing more. But what if it wasn't? So in the end, Jabu succeeded and Tano failed? Kifu nodded. That night, the pack ate because of Jabu's patience. Tano, for all his speed, brought nothing. Zuri exhaled slowly. The message was clear. He wasn't just failing because he wasn't fast enough. He was failing because he was chasing without thinking. Kifu stood and stretched, his old muscles still fluid and powerful. Now tell me, young one, who do you want to be? Tano or Jabu? Zuri hesitated only a moment before answering. Jabu. Kifu smiled. Good. Then it's time you learned how. The wind picked up, rustling the grass as the wise cheetah prepared to share his greatest lesson, the 4 laws of focus. The 4 laws of focus. The wind whispered through the tall grass as Kifu turned to face Zuri, his golden eyes steady. Kifu, now listen carefully, young one. A cheetah may be born fast, but a hunter must be made. There are 4 laws of focus that separate the ordinary from the great. If you master them, you will never fail again. Zuri's tail flicked with anticipation. He had always believed that speed was his greatest weapon, but if Kifu was right, then focus was the real key. He leaned forward, eager to learn. Kifu began, his voice calm but firm. Ash Law 1, control your thoughts. When you chase, what do you see? Zuri blinked. The prey, but also the grass, the trees, the sky, the shadows, everything. Kifu nodded. And that is why you fail. He lifted a paw and traced a slow line in the dirt. A true hunter sees only one thing, his target. Everything else is just noise. Zuri thought back to his past hunts. He had always been aware of the world around him, the wind on his fur, the rustling leaves, even the distant cries of birds. Was that why he hesitated? Was that why his prey always escaped? Your mind is like the wind, Zuri. If you let it scatter, you will be pulled in every direction. But if you train it to move with purpose, nothing can stop you. Zuri exhaled slowly. So when I run, I must see only the prey. Kifu nodded. Exactly. Law 2. Create a routine. Kifu paced a slow circle around Zuri. Tell me, when do you train? Zuri, whenever I feel like it, I suppose. Kifu smirked. And that is why you are weak. Zuri bristled. Weak, but I train hard. Kifu's tail flicked. You train when it's convenient. But greatness does not come from convenience, it comes from discipline. The best hunters wake at the same time, practice at the same time, and hunt at the same time, every day. Their bodies and minds move in harmony because they do not leave success to chance. Zuri frowned. He had always admired the elder cheetahs who never seemed to fail in their hunts. He had thought it was natural talent, but now he realized it was practice. So I need to train at the same time every day? Not just train. Sharpen your focus. Your body knows what to do, but your mind is lazy. Teach it discipline, and it will obey. Zuri's ears twitched. How? Kifu smirked. Simple. Choose a time. Every morning before the sun rises, you will wake. You will practice your focus. Not running, but watching, waiting, controlling your thoughts. You will do this every day until it becomes part of you. Zuri swallowed. That sounds difficult. Difficult? Yes. But impossible? No. Law 3. Remove distractions. Kifu suddenly crouched low, eyes locked on something in the distance. Zuri followed his gaze but saw nothing. Then snap! A bird shot out of the grass. Instinctively, Zuri's head jerked to follow it. Kifu sighed. And that, young one, is why you fail. Zuri looked at him confused. What do you mean? Kifu, your mind is a restless cub. It chases anything that moves. That bird, the wind, even your own thoughts, they steal your focus. Zuri's ears flattened. I can't help it, my mind just wanders. Kifu nodded. Because you have never trained it. If you wish to succeed, you must eliminate distractions. When you run, you must not think of anything else, not your speed, not the wind, not your pack, only the prey. So I must silence everything else? Kifu's gaze was unwavering. Yes, let the world disappear, see only your goal. Shag. Law 4, be consistent. Khefu stood tall, stretching his powerful limbs. Now the final law, the hardest of them all. Zuri waited, heart pounding. You must do this every day, not when you feel like it, not when it is easy, every day. Zuri's tail twitched. But what if I'm tired? What if I fail? Khefu's eyes darkened. Then you get up and try again. Zuri swallowed hard. Mental discipline is not built in a day. It is built in the moments when you want to quit, but don't. The cheetah who trains only when it is easy will always lose to the one who trains even when it is hard. Zuri took a deep breath. He had always trained in bursts, pushing himself hard one day, then slacking the next. But if what Khefu said was true, that was why he had never improved. So if I follow these 4 laws, I will become a true hunter? Khefu smiled. No, you will become unstoppable. The wind howled through the grass as the final lesson settled into Zuri's bones. Tomorrow, everything would change. He was ready. The test of a true hunter. The first light of dawn crept over the horizon, bathing the savannah in a soft golden glow. The world was quiet, except for the distant calls of waking animals. But amidst the tall grass, something stirred. Zuri was awake. For the first time, he wasn't just lying there, thinking about the past, wondering why he failed. He was ready to act. He crept silently through the grass, his muscles tight with anticipation. The lessons Khefu had taught him replayed in his mind. Focus, routine, eliminate distractions, be consistent. He had never trained like this before. He wasn't running, he wasn't chasing, he was waiting, watching, learning. Khefu had told him, the hunt begins long before you run. It begins here, in your mind. The patience of a hunter. Hours passed. The sun rose higher, and still Zuri crouched in the shadows. A younger version of himself would have grown restless, charged recklessly at the first moving thing. But now he was different. His eyes locked onto a herd of gazelles in the distance. They grazed lazily, tails flicking. He studied them, not just as prey, but as individuals. Some were alert, their ears twitching at every sound. Others were relaxed, distracted. There! One young gazelle stood slightly apart from the rest. Its posture was hesitant, its movement slower than the others. It was inexperienced, unaware. Zuri's heartbeat quickened. This is the one, he thought. But he didn't move. Not yet. The moment of truth. Khefu's voice echoed in his mind. See only the prey. Block out everything else. Zuri's breathing slowed. The wind, the rustling grass, the distant chirps of birds, all of it faded away. He saw only the gazelle. Then he moved. Like a shadow breaking free from the earth, Zuri launched forward, his muscles uncoiled with precision, his paws barely touching the ground. The gazelle sensed danger a split second too late. It bolted, legs pumping desperately, but Zuri was already closing in. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about his speed. He wasn't thinking about the wind in his fur or the sound of his paws. He was locked in, utterly focused. The gazelle veered sharply to the left. Zuri didn't panic. He had seen this move before, anticipated it. He adjusted instantly, shifting his weight, maintaining balance. His claws gripped the dirt, propelling him forward without losing momentum. Then, a final burst. Zuri's paws struck, his claws catching the gazelle's flank. It stumbled, and in a single fluid motion, Zuri lunged, bringing it down. Silence. The herd scattered into the distance, their hooves thundering against the earth. But Zuri didn't chase them. He didn't need to. He had done it. A hunter is born. Panting, Zuri stepped back, gazing at his catch. The young cheetah who had once failed over and over again was gone. In his place stood a hunter. A shadow loomed nearby. Zuri turned to see Khefu watching him, his expression unreadable. For a long moment, the elder cheetah said nothing. Then he nodded. Khefu, you have learned well. Zuri met his gaze, his chest still rising and falling with exertion. It wasn't speed, he said quietly. It was focus. Khefu's mouth curled into a small smile. Now you understand. The sky stretched wide above them, endless and open, just like the future ahead. Zuri had passed the test, but he knew this was only the beginning, because true mastery is not about reaching the top. It is about staying there, and Zuri was ready. The final lesson. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the savannah. The air was still, heavy with the scent of dry earth and the distant rustle of unseen creatures. Zuri stood atop a rocky outcrop, gazing over the vast plains that stretched endlessly before him. For the first time in his life, he felt different. Not just faster, not just stronger, but in control. Behind him, Khefu approached, his steps slow and deliberate. The old cheetah sat beside him, his golden eyes studying the young hunter. "Khefu, you have done well, Zuri." Zuri took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his achievement settle over him. "I finally understand now," he said. "The hunt isn't just about speed. It's about seeing only what matters." Khefu nodded, pleased. "Yes, but tell me, what comes next?" Zuri blinked. "Next?" Khefu turned his gaze to the horizon. "A lesson learned once is not a lesson mastered. Tell me, will you wake up tomorrow and hunt with the same focus? Will you train with the same discipline, or will you fall back into old habits?" Zuri hesitated. Khefu's voice was calm but firm. "There are many who taste success once and believe they have conquered everything. But the true test is not in winning one battle. It is in winning every day." Zuri swallowed, realizing what Khefu meant. "So, this is only the beginning?" Khefu smirked. "It always is. The choice of a champion." The old cheetah stood and stretched. "There are two types of hunters in this world. The first reaches success and becomes satisfied. He lets his skills fade, believing he has done enough. The second knows that mastery is not a destination, but a path, one that never ends." Khefu fixed Zuri with a knowing gaze. "Which one will you be?" Zuri didn't need time to think. He knew the answer. He stood tall, his muscles still aching from the day's hunt, but his mind sharper than ever. "I will run. I will train. I will sharpen my focus every day." Khefu smiled, the wisdom of countless hunts reflected in his eyes. "Then you will never be beaten." A future unwritten. The two cheetahs stood in silence, watching as the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon. The world was vast, unpredictable, full of challenges yet to come. But Zuri was no longer afraid of failure. He no longer doubted his path. He had learned the truth. Success is not about how fast you run, but how well you control your mind. As the stars began to scatter across the darkening sky, Zuri took his first steps toward his future. Not just as a fast runner, not just as a strong cheetah, but as a hunter with an unbreakable focus. And from that day forward he lived by one rule: discipline your mind, and success will follow. Closing, the final lesson that will change everything. Zuri's story teaches us one undeniable truth. Success isn't about how fast you run, it's about how well you train your mind. Speed alone didn't make him a great hunter. It was his ability to focus, to remove distractions, and to stay consistent every single day. And here's the real question: what about you? How many times have you chased after a goal, only to get distracted? How often do you tell yourself you'll work harder tomorrow, only to fall into the same cycle of hesitation and wasted time? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't intelligence or raw talent. It's discipline. It's the ability to control your focus and show up every single day, even when no one is watching. Now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest distraction holding you back? Comment below and let's talk about it. And if this story made you think, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you're ready for another powerful story that will push you even further, stay tuned, because next time we're diving into the journey of someone who overcame impossible odds to achieve greatness. Success follows those who train their minds. So the only question left is, will you?